Okay, so let's do some drum augmentation. Let's talk about that. I've got a nice, decently recorded drum kit over here. So you can see there's only one kick microphone, snare top, snare bottom. There was 4 toms and 2 overheads. And that's good. That's pretty much all you need to get going. So let's start with the kick drum, right? I mean, I think there's enough information there. Sounds like it was one mic placed reasonably well inside the hole, maybe like midway through. But let's load some EQ on that, start working on it. So again, like I said, we're doing drum augmentation, not replacements. So this 200 hertz, can hear that. We want to take that out. And there we go. Now we've got some thump and some slap. Let's take some slap up. Let's put this on bell, take it down to about 50 hertz. Give us a boost. That's nice. Put the EQ pre-dynamic, so that means the whole EQ section is going to go into the compressor. This is an SSL compression trick where you max out the threshold and then you pull back your ratio until you get the gain reduction you're looking for, and I'm looking for 3 to 6. Nice. I'm not going to use the expander, so I'm just turning that off. And then my favorite drum compressor, DBX 160. Let's pull back some of that threshold. That tightens up our kick nicely. Okay, and now we get to drum augmentation parts. So let's augment the sound of this kick drum. Duplicate. I like to do drum augmentation this way. Sometimes you load your trigger plugin directly on and use a mix knob, but I like to have a parallel track and then I can mix in the trigger to my taste. So we've got our main kick and then we've duplicated it. So let's move those down and load up Slate Trigger 2. Most accurate trigger plugin I've ever come across. Let's browse, go to my drum pack. Let's load this kick 22 by 16. Very nice kick drum. It's sounding good already. So the processing, because I duplicated the track, is there already. So let's just bypass this processing and listen to the sample. Pull some detail back so it catches all the transients. And then let's enable our original kick. So now the two are working together. Sound pretty good. Check polarity. Now we're getting cancellation. So it was better default polarity. So if we mute our sample and then we bring back the sample, you can hear how it's enhancing that kick sound for us. So let's actually rename this. kick, sample. So let's work on the sample sound alone. And the EQ moves are pretty much the same. You can pull back some of the top end on the sample. But yeah, we want to take out some of those low mids as well and boost some of that 50 and give it the magic sauce of DBX 160. Yeah, that's good. So let's mix that in with our original kick. Kick sample all the way down. No sample. With the sample. Sample alone. So I actually think I can pull down the live kick and have the sample more dominant. Okay, let's get on to the snare. So let's bus our snare top and bottom. And actually, let's create a bus for our kick as well. So this kick bus is the live kick and the sample working together over here. Again, kick alone, sample alone, together, working together nicely. So now we've got our live snare. It's very high pitched, but I think that's just what they were going for, and I think it kind of works. You know, higher snares are difficult to work with, but get it right, you know, it does work eventually in the mix. So I want to filter first, so I'm going to load an EQ and just take out all this information below the fundamental of the snare, which you can see was about 300 Hertz. So I don't need all this stuff below 200. You can hear that. I want to take all of that out. Nice. And then some EQ. Same moves. Put the EQ before the compressor. Full threshold, pull back the ratio. Add some tops a little bit. I know there's a lot of hi-hat bleed in there, but in the context of the full mix, we don't know how it's going to sound yet. But ideally, you probably would want to take out some of that bleed. We can try it with silencer. It's a good debleeder. I like it. Oh, I know what's happening here. This is actually not a snare bottom mic. It's mislabeled. Okay, let's take this out. We don't want that. So we've actually just got a snare top. There we go. Let me take the silencer away. Okay, that's better. can just actually remove this. Alright, so now we've got what we need. So I'm actually going to move these plugins over here onto the snare track itself. And then I'm going to duplicate this for snare augmentation sample. So let's load a sample on this track. Slate trigger 2 is from my drum pack. I like this is a deep snare and this is a high snare, 13-inch. And it's, even though it's high, it's not as high as the original snare. And yeah, the original snare is very high. So let's mix that in and see what we've got. So I want to turn this up, the input side of trigger, so that I hit my sample as loud as possible. Nice. And my sample needs a different type of EQ. Also filtering out some of the lows. But once we get here, it needs a lot more top end. So see, that's the benefit of having your snare sample on a different channel, because then you can EQ it differently compared to your live snare. That's the sample. Sounding good. Let's give it some DBX compression. Yeah, there we go. Just giving it nice attack. And let's blend that in with our original. That's not bad. So let's hear the kick and the snare together. So you could hear the samples just bring a certain consistency to the sound, you know, because I mean, as you can see, this drummer played very well, but the levels are, you know, fluctuating here and there. And the sample just kind of gives us consistency. Let's play it without samples. With samples. So you're kind of getting a best of both. No samples, with samples, samples only. So you can hear, like, if you play samples alone, you lose the human element. But combined, you get something beautiful, I'd say. Play with overheads. Pull those overheads back a bit. One more time. Live drums only. Samples engaged. samples only. So I guess the overheads can help as well to bring in the human side of things. But as you can hear, like, samples are not a bad thing. They're actually a great thing. To augment the drummer's performance and bring consistency. And so I would go through the toms as well. Similar process to the kick and the snare. Load in a sample to augment what is there. And yeah, my drum pack is available on my Patreon page. You can get it there for the low price of $20. If you enjoyed this, please like, subscribe, leave a comment, and we'll see you in the next one.